Good morning, Alex here. And if you are here, it's likely because you're curious about how I let Copilot automate my YouTube blog. Well, we're going to have a look at all the tech that's involved and how I was able to do that in 2 evenings this week and get everything up and running super fast. So, first, let's dive a little bit into the architecture of this workflow. So, what was my goal? Well, actually, one of you subscribers was asking for easier to navigate code snippets for the past videos that I've made. Because right now, what I was doing is I would just put in the description of the YouTube video the whole repo, and you wouldn't necessarily have the links to the individual bits of code that are relevant. And so I wanted to have supporting materials for my videos that have all of the breakdown of the things that I cover and where to find them in the repo. Being the engineer that I am, I didn't want to write all of that myself. And so I thought, okay, what's a better use case for AI? And I'm already paying for GitHub Copilot. Can I get it to do that for me and ultimately write nice little blog articles on my site for all of those videos that I publish on YouTube? So the logic goes like this. I have a YouTube video that I publish, and we need a trigger off of that in order to kick off the whole thing. The YouTube API doesn't have webhooks per se, but it does follow the PuSubHubbub standard, whatever you want to call it, the decentralized PubSub protocol. And so we'll be able to create a subscription to that and get notified whenever my YouTube video publishes. So I go here, I basically publish the YouTube video. This notifies my API via the PuSubHubbub. More specifically, this will be my webhooks YouTube route, and this will be my generate article workflow. This is where I'm actually using the use workflow. So the new Vercel Workflow Dev Kit. So we'll have a look at that and why I needed to use that. So that has a few steps, but ultimately what you get out of that is a GitHub issue being created. And again, the reason I went with that is because we can take this GitHub issue, assign Copilot to do it, and then what we get after that is actually a GitHub PR completely written by Copilot that I can review and then just merge into my code base. This is all possible because of the way I wrote my blog. It's actually using MDX, and it's within the repo where I put all the examples that I cover on my YouTube channel. So we have all the context that Copilot needs to pull the right information into that article that it's going to write. And then it just writes that article in the repo itself so I can review and then ultimately merge it and bring it into my blog. So let's look at these individual pieces in a little bit more detail, starting with the webhooks route that I have here. So if I go to VS Code here, we can see under my API, I do have this webhooks YouTube route. And there's two things that we need here. One of them is to handle the PuSubHubbub verification. So it's just a simple get endpoint that returns the challenge. And then ultimately the post request where it will ping us whenever there's that new video that's published. There is, however, one extra step is we need to create that webhook subscription. And I also have a script for that under config, YouTube, subscribe. And this will make sure to set everything up so that the webhook does get that ping from PuSubHubbub, specifically in this case for my YouTube channel ID. There's not much that's important in the code here. But ultimately, when I get that webhook request, all I do is I start this video to article workflow. And this is where I call the start of the use workflow that we're going to have a look at in a second. So now we have basically this part covered. We're kicking off the generate article workflow. And this is a simple use case of the Vercel Workflow Dev Kit. So let's have a look at the individual steps that I have here. Pretty simple. The first thing we do is we fetch the video metadata from the YouTube API. So this is pretty straightforward. We just call the actual YouTube data API to get a few things that we would want. Things like the thumbnail, title, video description, and the other information the LLM may use as context. Then after that, we fetch the transcript, and this is actually using the auto-generated captions from YouTube. For this one, it was a little bit more complicated. You can't do it simply off of the API key. You actually need to set up OAuth with a refresh token. So I did have to go through that flow before I could put the refresh token in my environment variables. And the other thing, and this is why having the durable workflow was very nice, is the transcript might not be available yet. Because I'm using the auto-generated captions from YouTube, it might take a little bit after the video gets published before those are available. So I'm able, with the Vercel Workflow Dev Kit, to just call sleep, wait 2 hours, give enough time to YouTube to generate all the transcription, and then just try again and fetch a transcript. If for whatever reason it fails to do that, I'm just going to leave the workflow. In the case where we were able to get the transcription, well, the last step of the workflow is pretty simple, is create a GitHub issue and then assign it to Copilot. So when I go here, this is what it does. So this uses the GitHub API to find the repository and then write the issue in GitHub and ultimately assign it to Copilot. If you have other LLMs or other bots working in GitHub, this is also something that could work with those. All right, so now we have a GitHub issue, and from a orchestration standpoint, the rest is really just Copilot that takes over. So let's look at one of those videos that I have right now in my repo. So you'll see it created an issue, write the article for this video. Great video of mine. If you haven't watched it already, go and find it. And then it puts all the instructions for Copilot to do that right. So in the code base, I also wrote a little agent file on how to write articles. You can find that in the repo as well. But more importantly, it has kind of the key principles, making sure it's not all over the place, writing some random AI slop that's not related to the video at all. So I want to make sure this is really supporting material, not just a one-to-one of what I say in the video itself. And I want to also provide additional value by linking to the things in the repo that relate to that video. So the way it's able to get all the context it needs for that, it does have the video description that it pulled from the YouTube API, but it also has at the bottom the full transcript of what I said in that video, so you can use that for additional context. Then Copilot gets assigned, it puts its little eyes emoji, and it goes and it creates a pull request for us to look at. And oh my, was I surprised by how great this turned out. It actually did exactly what I wanted. If you look at the files changed here, it created a new MDX file for this video under the contents videos in the repo. And if I open it on GitHub, you'll see it did all the nice formatting that I wanted from it. It put things in code blocks, it has nice headers, and it also put links to the relevant files in the repository itself. Great work, little AI. Let me merge this one in for you so we can have a look at it on the live site. So we'll just go here, rebase and merge. And we now see the build in Vercel here. And there you go, let's go have a look. If I head over to videos here, I have my little welcome article that I was using to test. But now, since I merged a PR, we also have this other video showing up in the list. And if we open it, we have a blog post that I didn't write. It has my video at the top, it has the instructions, and it covers the topic from my video. You can use the table of content to browse, jump straight to the automated scripts. These are actually linked to the files in the repo. And you just have these like pretty code blocks that I can do some highlighting on and do some additional explanation that maybe wasn't even covered in the video. So this is great, and I'll make sure all my past videos are actually covered in my blog so you can follow along and have all the right code snippets for implementing things in your own projects. The last little thing I'll mention is how I was able to get the MDX to render this pretty, and it's all thanks to a library called Fumadocs. It's fully open source and it handles the MDX for you. It uses Shiki for the nice highlighting in the code blocks, and it has nice abstractions around creating things like the table of contents that you saw. I highly recommend it. If you want to see how it's all configured, check the links in the description. The repo will be there, and likely there'll be a blog article for this video as well that you'll be able to follow along and kind of understand how everything is set up from the workflow perspective to the blog itself, which is now included on my personal site. And while you're there, be sure to check out the other videos. That's all I have for today. And if you like Next.js tips, workflow dev kit, I'm sure I'll be posting a lot more videos like this. So be sure to hit the like and subscribe below. And I'll see you again soon.